you speak without a formal, let's see if I can fix it.
I just want to say, Jenna, that was incredibly powerful. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Our next speaker, unfortunately, couldn't join us today. He's stuck in Colombia. Jabar Aza from All African People's Revolutionary Party. But our next speaker is Selena Pagan from the Young Latino Network.
I'm gonna sit right here and I can project. I don't need a mic. Hi everyone. My name is Selena Pagan. I'm the executive director of the Young Latino Network and Avanzamos Unidos. I'm a proud Puerto Rican woman here, born and raised in Northeast Ohio. I'm grateful to be in this space. It's been a while since I've shown up, and I think that has to do with questioning our capacity as organizers and understanding how we show up and our capacity to show up. And to me, we can talk about struggles, but we know the struggles. We're aware of the struggles of our communities and our shared oppression. And I don't want to shed light on that anymore. I want to shed light on the things that we need to be strategic about and do now as organizers in this region, as allies to each other. I think that we need to really come together to think about how we show up in these spaces and how we curate those spaces as organizers and as community members to organize. Because one of the commonalities that we share is that we feel the oppressions of our homeland. And I think that we carry that burden and that weight with us. And we have not done what we need to do here while we're in the US to build the power that we need to support our brothers and sisters in our homelands. And that we have to do that very strategically and not in silos, that we need to do that across communities as allies to each other. And we have to practice that with more intentionality and show up. And so when I was thinking about showing up today and how I show up today, there's this guilt as organizers, and Jenna had mentioned this laziness that happens, and we can't be afraid and be guilt-ridden when we don't have the capacity to show up on the front lines. And we have to understand when we have the capacity to show up in whatever form, because there is a role in organizing for everyone. And we do that in different ways. And when we're doing this work in community, we have to be very mindful about how we curate our spaces to organize, that we don't perpetuate toxic culture, right? That we don't perpetuate dominant white supremacy traits within our organizing spaces to ensure that we can do this in a sustainable way. And so, I was curious about what am I going to talk about today. I wrote this whole thing, and I think it's beautiful. But I think part of the journey as people is understanding the role that we play in social change and how we show up into these spaces. And I think that, we are no stranger to oppression in whatever country we come from, wherever our ancestors are from. That is the part of the journey that we share together. And we know what it is. I'm tired of talking about it because we know what the heck is going on.
I apologize for the mic. I think there's a wire broken inside, not there, so thanks for being patient.
Absolutely. I'm going to share some pictures on the screen, actually. And I am with Jewish Voice for Peace here in Cleveland. I'm also a member of an organization called the Center for Jewish Nonviolence. And these two organizations do a lot of collaborative work together. A lot of the work. Excuse me. A lot of the work on the ground in Palestine is done by people that are coming from the United States and from other countries with Jewish Voice for Peace and other organizations, and they come back to the United States with lots of stories, lots of ideas about organizing, about justice, about solidarity, about collaboration, and with our Palestinian partners. And today what I'd like to do is just share a couple of stories with you from some of the experiences that I've had in Palestine. First, I am grateful to be here. It's really an honor to be able to speak among and with everybody that's here. I can't get to the arrow because it's behind other people. Um, and really taken by the speakers from Egypt, from Gaza, from Al Nizam, and the work that they're doing. The social justice work, the documentation work, the research. It's just brilliant. And of course, thank you to the Peace Action for all of your good works. So this is the end of my story, actually, or somewhere in the middle. I'm going to weave around a very special place called Sarara, and it's a small hamlet in Masafriata, where I've spent a fair amount of time. I thought that conversation with Don that I would share this particular story, and it's this picture that I wanted to bring to everybody's attention. I don't know if you can see it very well, but the sign in the front says, "From Sarara, Palestine to Standing Rock, home is a human right." And the collaborative work, the solidarity work, from Standing Rock to Masriyata, to the South Hebron Hills area of Palestine, is really well known. This picture was actually taken in 2017. A couple years later, I was in Jerusalem for Christmas and had the very good fortune of spending New Year's Eve in Sarara. The people of Sarara were forced out of their homes, ethnically cleansed, in 1982 when the 918 firing zone was first designated in the area. Now we know 20 years later, or however many years, 40 years later, it's now being enforced, but it has been enforced all along. And so all of those people that are in jeopardy of being ethnically cleansed have been struggling, resisting. Existence is resistance on the land. And that's what this is really about. These people.
Thank you, David, for sharing your story with us. I think it's incredibly important to know the moments of resilience we have during these moments of oppression. I think it offers a sentiment of hope for everyone living under these circumstances and all of us watching from overseas. I would like to pass the mic over to our next speaker, Ala Muhammad. Born and raised in Cleveland to Palestinian parents, Ala Muhammad has always been an active member of the community and rallies for Palestine. Through his father's business, Holy Land International Imports, he and his family have continuously offered the Cleveland community a helping hand.
I really don't even think I need this. Do I need this? Alrighty. Well, my speech was more about like personal feelings, but here we go. Guilt, one of the strongest feelings and heaviest burdens a person can carry. I think that's why it's an ethnic mother's #1 tool to get things done. As Palestinians outside of Palestine, I feel there's a guilt we've carried our whole lives, that our whole lives for the struggles of our people back home. Because even though we're not there, our connection is so strong. We are taught at a young age the pride of our country, its people, traditions, culture, and the land. Ala Muhammad Hassan Rashid Muhammad. Straight from birth, we're given the names of our fathers, grandfathers, great-grandfathers, and the legacies we have to live up to. Your great-grandfather was a kind and generous man that did so much for his people. Your grandfather was known for his strength and leadership, and help build the house that you visit when you come back home. We're told how our dads and uncles would go to the mountains to pick sage, mulchia, olives, and thyme to bring back home to the women in the village. How our grandmothers, mothers, and aunts would gather around to help preserve the crops. One would pick the leaves, the other would dry, and one would make the delicious za'atar mix. All while my grandmother was making fresh bread on the tabbouleh. They told us how amazing that first bite of warm, soft bread was, dipped into the beautiful green, freshly squeezed olive oil from our trees, sprinkled with the za'atar they just made. They took pride in their crops and their gardens, teaching us the different kinds of figs, grapes, olives, and how everyone loved my grandmother's figs. And when they were ready, she would pass them around to the neighborhood. Over 10 years ago, I had a customer, Sabah, an older woman I've known my whole life from the same city in Palestine. She stopped in on her way home from the airport to grab some stuff from the store. As she walked in the store, she was holding 2 mint plants, roots and all. She said her grandmother's mint was the best mint. She needed to bring some here. A 2-hour drive from the Beira, Palestine to Jordan, a 13-hour flight from Jordan to Chicago, and finally a 1-hour flight to Cleveland. She held these 2 plants in her hands the whole time. She said she didn't care about anything else as long as she got the plants here. We're not only taught about our people, but our land, and the richness of the soil and the amazing crops it produces. Traditions that go way beyond the river and the sea, past borders and across oceans. In the summer, you can spot Palestinian women in groups of highways, trails, and parks picking grape leaves from the amazing crop that one of them spotted earlier that week. Our middle school football coach had a drill that he made his players do, where they would run to the fence and grab a leaf because they used to see my grandma picking them. His heart was in the right place, but she wasn't so thrilled because there were specific leaves that she preferred. Traditions and stories like those go beyond the people and straight to the roots. Our connection isn't just to the people, but to the land and what it produces.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
As you all know, I'm Jan, and I am a proud member of the Active PSA. As you may or may not know, we have been demonstrating alongside many great Palestinians and many allies outside of Akron City Council and speaking there on several occasions. Of course, you might have been disappointed to hear of the various speeches from Zionist council members such as Nancy Holland, and I am very grateful to say that her voice will not be present at any more Akron City Council meetings. He is a Canadian soldier, teacher, and physician that served during the First World War. He had begun his service during the Second World War, which took place in modern-day South Africa. He served on the Western Front, specifically around Ypres in Belgium, and unfortunately his friend was the victim of a poison gas attack. And in Gaza's fields, the olives grow, between the martyrs, row on row, that mark their place, and in the sky, the songbirds, still bravely singing, fly. Scarce heard amid the bombs below, thousands dead, short days ago. They lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow. They all were loved, and now they lie in Gaza's fields.